Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Okay. Uh, what is your next block we are supposed to talk about? It's on school as a social organization, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Social context of school,
Yes, sir.
right? Okay. Then there we have. Let me just browse through that text that has been prescribed by IGNOU. Uh, in unit 7, we are supposed to talk about school as a social organization, where we'd be talking about school as a social system, then structure and organization of a school. Then we have uh, just note it down so that we'll be like focusing. Majista, uh, schooling as socio-cultural process. That's an important and interesting subject matter to talk about, right? Then we have just note it down so that we will be discussing on those uh, major subject matter. Then we have teachers as an educational input. Likewise, other like infrastructures or material inputs we used to provide to our educational institution, teachers is treated as one of the very vital educational input. We'll be talking about that. Then we have uh, teaching process. Sorry, teaching profession. Why we label teaching as a profession, not as a, other kind of like passion or like a kind of uh, on skill or like haphazard uh, affairs. It is labeled as a profession. Why is it so? We'll be talking about. Then we have uh, just note it down so that it will be giving me feedback. I'll be like focusing on those major points only. Then community participation in education. That's is again a very ground facts we are supposed to talk about and reflect. We'll have to reflect on that as well. Uh, I should have like prepared a outline of this text, but because of lack of time, I could not do that work, and that is why I'm browsing through this text, right? Uh, so again, I'm coming back to the first or initial section of this uh, paper, right? School as a social organization. So let me give your like a perception or your like kind of impression of the fact that how do you how do you understand school, how do you perceive school as a social organization. Then we'll be talking about um the like technical aspects which actually which actually make qualified school as a social organization. So what are the characteristics as such that school exhibit or school carry forward, which gives an impression of a social organization that we are supposed to uh, capture at all if we'll have to uh, like give that status that school as a social organization, right? So yes, please let me first take your perception in confidence before moving forward. And I before I finish uh, a cup of coffee I'm having with me. Okay, so please, anyone? Yes, how, what matters, what characteristics as such school exhibitor, school carry, which makes a school as a social organization, or which school is treated as a social organization like other any other organization in our society. Yes, please come on. Yes, yes, hmm. Yes, I'm listening. Tell me.
Yes, sir. So school is a social organization because
Hmm.
at school students learn how to cooperate their friends and how to behave teachers. Um,
Hmm.
Due to this, school is a social organization. Social values learn from school. A student learn social values from schools. So school
Hmm.
is a social organization.
Okay. So
Okay.
children uh, like develop social values, acquire social skills, and that is why that is a social organization, you mean, right?
Yes,
Precisely.
yes, sir.
Anyone else?
Yes.
Any other fellow we have would be reflecting on school as a social organization? Yes. Yes. Where is Madhava today? Where is Madhava?
Sir, good evening, sir. Just
Good evening.
joined.
Yes. What is your mind?
Sir, actually, sir, I didn't get the question.
We didn't get the questions. No, my question
Sorry, sir.
is that I always prefer to start any talk, any consultation with a set of questions. So before starting, likewise, I mean, as my normal approach, uh, like starting a class with the questions, I put a questions before you that um, while like addressing like subject matter or clarifying the facts which uh, which which makes or which create uh, an impression where we label that school as a social organization. So what is that actually? Which characteristics uh, like create that impression that school is a social organization at all? Like like any other organization we have, take for instance, okay, we have like other public organization, like we have, okay, medical organization, you may say, you may say community club as an organization, you may say uh, like transport and communication department organization, you may say like the nature and structure of governance or the state as an organization, which is again the handiwork of society. Likewise, so each of these organization uh, are is treated as a social organization because they give a kind of uh, a kind of they create a kind of social impression or a kind of impression which because of their nature of working, because of their nature of composition, first of all, nature of their composition, and the nature of their functioning, which uh, ultimately prove them as social organizations. So two important things we are expected to keep in our mind to treat any like any agency or any unit as an organization of society. Those are the like the composition of that unit, then the nature of functioning of that unit, second, third, probably, or third like major character is that the kind of relationship exists there or prevail there in that unit. So which is of course is a like is supplemented to the second major parameter, second major character, which gives an impression of a unit as a social organization. So first is what? The composition, nature of composition. Then second is the nature of functioning, which includes the nature of power relation inside that organization, in that unit, which essentially that creates an impression of a unit as social organization, right? So labeling school or treating school as a social organization, as it has some visible characteristics which actually confirm us, yes, that is a social organization. First is, if you like mind my point, that first is the like nature of composition. Who, by taking whom that school is constituted, by taking whom the school is constituted. Of course, not animals, not wild animals. Those are the people of society. Those are the member of society only. First of all, there we have a member of society, of course, of different acts, of different experience, having different kind of exposure, having different responsibilities, but then the school is constituted with the members of society only. The first characteristics, which like creates an impression of a social organization, right? So that is organized by the member of a society only, right? Students, teachers, non-teaching staffs, or other like other like associated members there actively. Taking them together, school is constituted, isn't it? So that is what the composition, nature of composition. It is composed of human like social members only, be it students, teachers, or other associating people there, non-teaching staffs, or like helping staffs there. Then second important character, which again determines that existence of a social organization, that is the nature of function. Nature of function. What does it do? What sort of responsibility is it discharges? It discharges. So what does it do? It is also visible. What does it do? As like Subhasri was perhaps Subhasri was telling that, what does basically it develops and reproduces first of all social values that society needs, society requires, right? So it deals with the values that larger society uh, essentially look for always, you know. So that is the function. The prime function is to like develop values or like promote values among the members, among the like immediate members of the school. So that is what first, developing social values or the required values uh, among the members and promoting it, like transforming those values. That is what one of the basic function of school, which actually gives the credit of becoming a social organization. Then, like if you talk about other functions, like other functional values of school, which which uh, which gives the status of a school as a social organization, is that besides so developing social values, it does help in acquiring uh, productive values, productive skills by the members of that school, per se, the students or teachers. So besides like developing social values or like transforming social values, the other active engagement or other active functioning aspect of the school is the developing essential skills or like acquisition of essential skills by the students, be it literary skills or like say like manual skills, even in manual skills, literary skills or manual skills, functional skills, like for example, like developing language value, developing like a mathematical value, developing scientific value, developing scientific temper. This is what this actually some of them are uh, some of them are found visualized beyond social values, which actually which are to some extent, to a greater extent, are promoted or developed by school itself in the beginning of like or the education life of students, right? Then the third characteristics, which again confirm us that school as a social organization, that is the power relation within that structure of that organization, within the structure of that school. Now, a school doesn't work in a very abrupt manner, or in a very like haphazard manner, or in a informal manner. That is why we did also school as a formal social organization, because it runs in a very formal setup. Like if you look at the school, I mean the our relation within the school, we have a hierarchy within that school. School is headed by a person who actually takes the major responsibility in the functioning of that school. We call that person is head of the school, or chief of the school, or the principal of the school. So that person takes the like top position of the hierarchy in that structure of the power relation. And whatever order, whatever direction is passed by the top of the hierarchy, or by the I mean, authority of the organization, or like the head of the organization, is complied, is followed by the rest of the ladder of the organization, that is at the intermediate level or at the bottom level, without fail. Rest of the ladders are supposed to comply with the direction, comply with the instruction, comply with the order of the the, the leader, or the principal, or the head of the organization. So it again, that's a very clear impression in terms of uh, in terms of the functioning of the school in a by like respecting or by upholding a kind of power relation. See, and that power relationship eventually help us to materialize that the visions or the the agenda associated with school, right? So these three characteristics, again I'm repeating. The first one is the the composition, nature of the composition of the school. Second is the nature of functioning. Third is the nature of power relationship. These three major characteristics, living characteristics, uh, gives us an ample evidences which actually confirm us that yes, that is something, that is a social organization, nothing else, which eventually contributes in the functioning of the society. That is why it is labeled as social organization, right? This is what actually the gist of the unit 7, what I shared before you just now. But then within this sub, let me just read out those points. You may like you may ask me if you would like to clarify more on that. Like as a part of school as a social organization, we have like aspects like social structure, functioning of school, as I have like given an outline of that. Then elementary school, they are like they have given sites for like given instances where we can see this kind of like characteristic. You go to elementary school, you go to secondary school, you'll get that structure. You get those, you'll have that impression, or you'll have those characteristics, right? The composition or the nature of functioning, and the kind of power relationship in the school maintains, right? Then we have yes, if anyone would like, do you have text with you, students?
Yes, sir. We have.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Text. So let me side by side ask wherever you find difficulty, okay? Because I'm a bit going fast. I'll not go so details, eh? Simply because I'm not feeling comfortable in such a humid condition, and already I'm I'm feeling retired hot. No, spending so much of time in. But I should not tell all this thing, but like I should share also. Yes, any difficulty in unit 7 you'd like to clarify? Anything you'd like to clarify from unit 7? Then we'll go to unit 8, where we have schooling as socio-cultural process. Schooling as socio-cultural process. Schooling. Again, the same thing comes to our mind. What do we do in school? It is called as socio-cultural process, nothing else. So what we do in school is that is socio-cultural process. How? How it is socio-cultural process? You feel? Tell me.
So it is
Yes.
called school is miniature form of society, and every society has its own culture. Sir, am I audible?
Yes, you are audible, but not so clear. Anyway, you can continue. Yes, ma'am.
So I'm saying, school is a miniature form of society,
Hmm.
and every society has its own culture. So, in school, as a formal setup, we follow some kind of principles, some kind of rules, regulations are there. So, through that, we teach the students to get educated in that way, which will be suitable for the society and which will be having the cultural values in that particular students, those who are studying inside the school.
Right. Yes. Anybody else? Right. You're right, Madhava. You're absolutely right. I would like to listen from others as well. Otherwise, it will become lopsided or monotonous. How it is socio-cultural process? Schooling is a labeled socio-cultural process. You mind the term socio and culture, Soci- social and cultural process. What is social? What is cultural? You might have come across sometimes that like what should be the aims of education of like people think about our philosophy. We have different philosophies. We have different philosophy. Like we have Indian philosophy with regard to the the aims of education, the process of education, or the mechanism of education. We have different philosophy for that. Like we have Eastern philosophy, we have Western philosophy, we have like ancient philosophy. For that sake, we have medieval philosophy, we have modern philosophy, right? What education what education should be like? ଶିକ୍ଷା କେମିତି ହବା ଉଚିତ? এইটা ଗୋଟେ ବଡ଼ କ୍ୱେଶ୍ଚନ୍ସ, এইଟା ଗୋଟେ ବଡ଼ ପ୍ରଶ୍ନ ଆମର ଫିଲୋସଫରଙ୍କ ମନରେ। What should be the what should be education like, or what should be the process of education like? So for that sake, like one is that the common like agreement is there, irrespective of geopolitical distance, geopolitical setup, like Western, Eastern, or like time gap in terms of ancient, medieval, modern, postmodern. Irrespective of those geopolitical context or historical context, we have a very common, we have consensus about the aims of education. That one of the prime objectives or prime aims of education is to develop social values, is to promote social values, is to enrich social values, transform social values. And by doing so, we are also like promoting our culture. We are respecting our culture. We are enriching our culture. We are like transmitting our culture from generation to generation. And that's what exactly school is supposed to do. It was there in like ancient time, wherever there was an attempt of giving education to the people by the society. It was there during medieval period. It was there in. It is there in modern. It is there in also in postmodern, and it is there in Western. It is there in Eastern as well. So this is what actually uh, school is supposed to look for. So school is supposed to uh, ensure, right? So these aims of it, I mean, when there was attempts, and where there were attempts of organizing or bringing like school like setups. Primarily these are guided, school are guided to like to materialize those aims which have been thought of despite of geopolitical and historical context, or like differences, or right. So that is what always those, I mean, those ends or those objectives are always are the priority, supposed to be priority on the part of school. And like in doing so, or the very nature of functioning in metrolized. Yes,
I have a question.
yes.
Sir, how school promotes culture?
I'll come to that point. Just I'm giving a kind of outline, no? I'll come to that point. So the point was that like we say that school is socio-cultural process. Now when these responsibilities are assigned to a school or entrusted to a school, then school is supposed to materialize this like this responsibilities. And the very nature of materializing these responsibilities is what we call socio-cultural process. Right. So the fellow put a question that how does a school like promote culture? How does a school like transform culture or like transmit culture? How? So I'll come to that answer by like putting a questions to you. What do you mean by culture? Let me first tell. What do you mean by culture?
Sir, all the traditional values running in
Like,
society.
if you put in concrete term, what is that culture? Yes. To whom we say culture?
Sir, it is the way we living in our way of living, traditional values, through which we live, talk to, behave, that type
No,
of thing.
again, come to that like a concrete thing. What is that way you are thinking about? Don't put in abstract sense. What is that way you are talking about as that is a culture of our society? Yes. What is that culture? culture of respect, culture of love, culture of cooperation, culture of like fooding, culture of culture of culture of economy, trade and commerce, like culture of doing economic activities, like culture of culture of medicine, a culture of culture of like providing medical services, culture of cooperation. This is what we call
The
culture.
corporate
So respecting or like cooperation, or say like compassion.
brother.
These are what I mean. We are not living in a like in a like uh, unregulated unregulated society, as like wild animals live. Wild animals, they have their own culture. They too take care of their uh, their their kids. Likewise, we take care of our kids. We take care of our fellow being. We take care of our society. We take care of our state and nation. So, like respecting, cooperating, fellow feeling, like compassion, love, affections. These are all culture, right? So, suppose in school, if you if you intend to promote culture of respect, culture of cooperation, what do we do? If anyone, if any member, student, teacher, or any other member in school deviate from the very principle of respect, what to whom we say respect, understanding other, respecting their rights, their concerns, their values. That is what respect. When you understand other, when you like give a space to other, when you create a space for other to live, or to live and let other live. So when it is ensured in school, when it is promoted in school, when it is appreciated, when it is recognized and appreciated, and uh, uh, like in a way incentivized, then what we are doing, that we are promoting what? Culture of respect. No, anyone deviates by not respecting others, not respecting other views, not respecting other concerns, not respecting others' rights or other feeling. School does not promote that. School is supposed to afford that. School is supposed to encourage to like develop that sense of respect, sense of living together, because that we need, because that we really we like, that's a very fundamental need of the society. So that is expected to be promoted, expected to be given a proper shape, given a kind of confidence, confidence in the mind of in the mind and hearts of the children, growing children there. And when it is accepted without any deviation by the member, be it student, teacher, or the other member, then what we are doing ultimately, we are doing it, what do you call that in terms, that is a socio-cultural process, because that is our culture. That is our culture of the larger society. Larger society expect that you should have that kind of value within you if you have to live a like acceptable life in larger society. So that is promoted. That is given a proper shape therein school. That is how culture is being promoted, is being transformed, is being enriched in school, right? I don't know how much it is being in practice, but that is what school is supposed to do. School is expected to do, and that is for what school is meant, right? So this is what actually the main like motto of this unit 8, when you say schooling as a sociocultural process. If I come to a point here, sociocultural reproduction. Sociocultural reproduction. There we have many sociological perspectives, as where school is treated as a social organization which carry out the work of social production and cultural production and reproduction. What is that social production? Social productions is that what society wish on the part of an individual to be or to become like. School carry forwards that, or school ensures that that things to happen, or that like schools materializes that wish of the society, right? Now think about yourself. If you are not put in a school-like situation, if you are not put like in a, or if you are not placed in a situation like a society, your society where you are living, then what would have been your behavior like? You would have been behaving like wild animal, like unregulated. You would have been exhibiting a kind of unacceptable behaviors. So now so in the name of social production means you are a social production. If I tell you are at this S is a social production, what you are today is mostly influenced by school, and that is what society wishes for, and that is what exactly we call social production and reproduction. So it is like today, if you are there, your children will be there. After some time gap, then your grandchildren will be there. So that's the social production and reproduction is a continuous process that we have been witnessing since the organized attempt of education in the name of schooling. So likewise, we do also cultural production and reproduction. So in the name of social production and reproduction, what we are doing? We are producing and reproducing our own culture, right? Sometimes in a very redundant manner. What is today, we are like exactly we are carrying forward tomorrow. But sometimes we are like taking like situation into cognizance. We are trying to make things better. So thereby we are transforming, we are enriching our the status quo. We are enriching the present. We are trying to enrich the present culture. So there we are reproducing our culture, right? So for example, in a sociological context, if you say how we reproduce culture, right? Produce and reproduce culture, like, okay, when it is told you that, when it is expected you that you should behave like a human being inside school, like a, a sincere member of your society, right? So there what we do, cultural reproduction. In, like, for example, like, take for example of like cultural reproduction, cultural production and cultural reproduction. There was a time like that getting access to school itself was not so common, not so common. There was a feeling of, or there was a kind of tradition within the educational practices, and also in the minds of people that there are some section of our society, they are supposed to they have the privilege to get education, they are privileged to have knowledge, they are privileged to have knowledge base and carry forward it. And there are some members of our like society, they are underprivileged, they are not supposed to get formal education, they are not supposed to like have knowledge base. That was a kind of culture, but by the passage of time, in the recent time only, 70 years, 70, 80 years back only, we felt that no, that is not the very idea of education in human civilization or human society. It should be universal. If that is an intention, if that is the kind of an invention, or is kind of like platform, school as a platform, then it should not be privilege for few, and like it should not be a kind of restricted zone for the majority, right? So it was made universal. So getting access to school, thereby getting access to a knowledge base, and getting access to like the fellow beings, that brothers, sisters, where you get a very common platform, where you feel like you are not alone, you are with others. So that culture, actually we started promoting. Till date we are trying to actually have that culture. We are trying to develop that culture where you feel like you are not alone. Along with you are many. There are many people of like matching minds, or like having diverse value, but then they would like to be with you in all all kind of circumstances in your life. So that kind of culture, which was not 70 years back today, but today we have that culture. So the kind of cultural production and reproduction was something different 70 years back, but today we have a different set of approaches, different set of like process, which actually meant for, which are actually directed to enrich our like somehow somehow how do you put it, somehow problematic culture we are trying to afford years back, right? So that is what cultural production, social cultural production and reproduction, right? Okay, and anyone would like to tell something or reflect on whatever I have kept for you? Yes. Yes, please. Students, anything? You keep some points, if not questions. You add something so that will make discussion more like insightful or more meaningful. I'm going through the text. Teaching profession. 9 I have left, perhaps.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
9. Teacher as an
Madhav.
educational input.
Okay. Teacher as an educational input. Yes, Madhav, you tell. You are a teacher, if I am correct. How you are an
Yes, sir.
input? Tell me, dear. Tell us, other fellows, as well, how you are a teacher. We believe that you are an input to a school. You are input to like unprocessed or like raw raw products of society, right? Whatever you have been given with, those are all raw materials. They are yet to get a like an acceptable shape. So how you are as an input, actually how do you look at yourself as an input for those raw materials to give them a proper shape, and like giving it to or gifting them to your society?
Sir,
Yes, yes. And
so trying to recollect some
no
material.
problem, no problem. Any other fellows are supposed to reflect on, not Madhav only. Why it is Madhav too only? Yes, Bulu. I can see Bulu is there. I can see Priyambada Priyadarshini is there. I can see Dharitri is there. I can see Susama is there. I can see Soumyarani is there. Dharitri has left a like different background. If she is not there, at least then Shubhasri is there. Saroj is there. Yes, you can react on this. How teacher like in what sense teacher is treated as an input for school? Soumya Rai, yes.
Yeah, as a student is believed as the future of the society. He or she seeks everything from school, from teacher. As an instructor guide, he or she believes what the teacher says. Um, so everything he learns from her or his teacher, rather than his or her family following whatever. He or she follows more to the teacher than others. He believes more things and accepts everything in school. So if teacher acts and sets him properly guide him or her, then our society will get good citizens in future.
Are you a teacher, Soumya Rani? Are you
Yes,
teaching?
sir.
Huh?
Yes, sir. I have completed B.Ed. I have
But
completed B.Ed.
so you are not teaching these
So
days? Are you placed in some
it's
school?
yes, sir. I have completed B.Ed. I'm not a teacher. I have completed B.Ed degree only.
Okay. But you have not, I mean, but you have like gone through internship, you must have been gone through internship program or like kind of practice
Yes,
teaching, what we call. So there it must have given you opportunity to understand that what a teacher is, or what is a
yes,
teacher,
sir. I have completed
who
the
is a teacher,
internship.
who is a teacher. Teacher is an input. Yes, now let's let our other fellow should tell something. Madhava, where are you?
So
Hello.
I am completely agree with Somya Rani, and
Okay,
she actually nicely explained the things that was in my mind. I I agree to her.
okay,
I have no more points.
right, okay, okay. Uh, like from if you can start with uh, technical thing, like to whom we say input. Inputs implies outputs. The other side of the input is that is output, right? So if we give teacher uh, as a kind of addition or as a kind of input in school, that means in with the expectation of outputs, So that what we cherish, what society cherish for, or what society looks for, who is supposed to take that responsibility? Not the materials thing. Material walls and materials arrangement in that school, they do not work themselves, right? Even human resources like the teachers inputs, they also sometimes uh, do not work themselves until and unless they are regulated, they are asked to do something. But then likewise material input, see kind of like you have a concrete building, concrete house, you have classroom, you have okay, uh, you have a textbook, you have blackboard, you have chalkboard, you have lab, you have computer, you have library. These are all materials inputs, materials arrangement. But a teacher as a human input is something unique to rest of the materials input provided to a school for socio-cultural function or for schooling. That input teachers as an input is such an input which actually channelize the material inputs. It processes the material input. At the same time, teachers guards the ultimate means. Teachers ensures as an input, teachers ensures the ultimate means or the adequate means that we are supposed to adopt, so that that means takes us towards the desired desired aims, desired which actually fulfills the desired agenda. Desired agenda of whom? Desired agenda of society. So teacher in that sense as an input, it materializes, sorry, it uh, generalizes the materials arrangement, materials and inputs within the school, which help us in the form of a means to going going closer to the ultimate aims, or like moving towards the ultimate aims of the aims of aims behind the creation of the school, behind the organization, behind the social organization in the name of school, right? And at the same time, it also as an input or guards one's own behavior, guards the behavior of others. Others means the children. And in the due process of regarding, it helps the ever learning or ever learning individual being to bring necessary behavioral change, necessary changes within himself or herself, right? So that is what, or that is how where I was actually just I distracted because I was, yes, I was. Yes, as an input. So that is how actually teacher is an invaluable input for school, which doesn't have which cannot be matched with any other inputs, neither material or like any other non-materials input, right? You may take example of non-material, like, okay, you are connected with the like library, or connected with the resources of knowledge and informations uh, to a distance, to a like up to a far distance, that you can do, those are also inputs which are found to be non-material in their existence, or in their functioning, or in their utility in our educative process. Likewise, other materials arrangement, materials inputs. But teacher is an input in that sense, which is unique in its nature, which actually generalizes rest of the inputs, be it material or even non-material, like as I told you, like if you have a programmed packaged, I mean software, even software package, which is treated as like non-material input, but then ultimately that is also valued by an input called teacher. So in that sense, teacher is something and invaluable, something unmatched input to school, which determines the legitimate means to the to fulfill the agenda of school, or to fulfill the agenda of society as a social organization, if at all it like creates for its member, right? That is what I wanted to emphasize. Then anything else you would like to give, Madhava?
So we are done. We understood it. Highly satisfied, sir.
Okay, thank you. Anyone would like to add there? Then we have teaching as profession, isn't it? Teaching profession. Teaching is treated as profession. Why is it so? Now, for that sake, we need to understand what are the characteristics of a profession, right? We have different profession, like if you take the name profession of an engineer, profession of a defense personnel, profession of a doctor, profession of a farmer, profession of a scientist. They have their own characteristics. They have their own ethics. They have their own guiding principles. And then only they are given with this status. They have been given with the identity of profession, right? So mind my words that every profession has its own characteristics in the form of the knowledge base, in the form of skills, in the form of ethics, in the form of principles. These are the four major characteristics of any profession. The name I took just right now: engineer, doctor, military, or farming, right? So likewise, teaching is also a profession. Teaching is a profession. It requires its own knowledge base to be into teaching, or teaching as profession. One is to have the proper required knowledge based, required basis of knowledge, then required basis of skills, then required ethics that the profession has to have some principle, guiding principle as well. So teaching as a profession, we do have teaching as a profession, we do have all those characteristics: knowledge, skills, ethics, and principles, right? Now, it's not that in a school, like ultimately to whom we say teachers, formally to whom we say teacher, who is placed in a social set of a social organization like school, to whom we say teacher. Now the characteristics of the teachers are identified, understood. It's not that everyone is placed there and given the status of teacher. then who actually is given that status, is given that position, carries these characteristics: knowledge based, skill based, ethics and principle. Now, who possesses those characteristics, we can place the person into that position, which actually becomes a profession in practice. It's not that everyone is placed there. No. The person who is being placed there in that social organization has to have these four major characteristics: knowledge based, skill based, ethics, basis of principle. Right? So when we are again all the times guided by these four major characteristics, being in teaching profession, we see hope, we see a kind of meaning, we see a kind of productivity in school as a socio-cultural organization or social organization, right? So that is why teaching is also treated as profession like others, right? Okay. Anything you would like to add there? Yes. Anyone would like to add their teaching as a profession? Who doesn't agree on my, or who is not clear about that? Let me tell. Let me give a feedback. At least you have understood the subject matter. Teaching as a profession. If I particularly ask anyone here, we have Durgasini Das. If you come off, if you switch on your video, Durgasini Das. If you are there, Bulu Maharana is there.
Sir.
Yes, Bulu, can you tell us how teaching is a profession? In what sense teaching is a profession? If you can make sense that really yes, teaching is a profession. In what sense?
No, sir.
आमे काहे टीचिंग गोटे प्रोफेशन बोली कहबा लाइक अन्य प्रोफेशन बा आमे वृत्ति कहउछु काहे कहबा काहे कि एटा गोटे प्रोफेशन रे जो सब माने आमे प्रोफेशन रो जो सब परिचय बा जो सब लाइक कोन कहबा आमे जो सब कैरेक्टरिस्टिक सभा उचित से सब हमें टीचिंग रे मध्य देखिबा को पाइतो प्रत्येक प्रोफेशन रो कोन प्रत्येक प्रोफेशन रे गोटे आवश्यकता रही छै ज्ञान या कुछ ज्ञान रे आवश्यकता रही छै सेठी निर्दिष्ट स्किल रो मध्य आवश्यकता रही छै से स्किल व्यतीत सेठी आउ दिटा माने अनिवार्य कोन कहबा में essential, the two characteristics we have, those are like ethics, like principles and ethics. Say, knowledge, skills. Besides knowledge, that profession is guided by certain principles, certain norms, certain laws, which are defined, which are well defined. At the same time, that profession is also guided by certain ethics, sometimes which are not defined, but then which which is um, well understood. Ethics. Ethics means the act of uh, what? Guiding oneself, that how you are supposed to behave in a particular, in a given situation, in a given time, how you are supposed to behave. So there you behave guided by your conscience, your like moral, which is expected in every profession, right? So that these four characteristics are visible and supposed to be there in any profession, and that is also there in teaching profession. And as I told you, that it's not that we like we can like place anyone to that position of teaching. Are we doing so? We have a very sophisticated mechanism, state mechanisms for like placing teachers in schools. You are going through a like formal education, say for instance up to graduation, up to I mean 3 years degree courses. Then you are enrolled in a training, rigorous training platform. You are exposed, you are given with the exposures of like philosophy, ethics, like theology, history, politics, science, everything. You have been given, you are given with those exposures. So that strengthen your knowledge base, as well as that makes you, or those make you capable to deal with given time, given situation, when you like given with the responsibility of teaching. So that what I'm trying to tell is that the knowledge base of the skill, it doesn't come automatically. You have gone through a process, formal education, formal training. Then a test also you are facing. That is what we call entrance sometimes. So that we have like agencies, maybe the state as an agency is doing that rigorously, right? So that ensures the first characteristics that of a teacher, that is knowledge and skill base. And the other characteristics as well, at least, that is your ethics and principle. I mean, in the meantime, you are oriented with uh, those uh, those things also, um, those concerns, uh, like as visualized by the state, as determined by the state, as determined by our society, right? So we are going through that process, and then only we are getting a chance of placement in school, and then eventually like you are given with the status of a teacher, as teaching as a profession. It's not that everyone is placed there. No, it's not like that. The person who is placed there has gone through a process, right? So that is why it is a teaching as a profession in that sense. Okay. What else is left there? Okay, then we have community participation in education. Community participation in education. So it's not that schooling or sociocultural process in school is a kind of like independent responsibility of teacher, independent responsibility of the state. Like in doing that sociocultural production, reproduction, as you are telling, or in in schooling of our children, along with the teachers or immediate stakeholders there within the internal setup that is school and external setup that is state, we have at the same time our community members where that school is situated, where that school is located. So it is expected that what that community looks for, what that community wishes for, should not be materialized in a distance mode, in a remote, in a remote mode, in a remote sense. That has to be shared by the community who wishes, or which looks for something to happen. So it is with their confidence. It is their, I mean, that school, whatever school does, whatever school like carries forward, that all is supposed to happen with the involvement of community as far as possible, as far as possible, right? So that is why community involvement is found to be essential, one of the essential condition, essential essential input, like teacher and other materials inputs. We also have like community involvement, if not in a remote sense, but in a very active sense. We expect that community should involve in the affairs of the school. Therefore, we have like a kind of a modification, a kind of changes we have brought since 2000 onwards, in the 21st century, in the beginning of 21st century. That is when we launched this national flagship programs called Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan, under the like policy that is universalization of elementary education, where actually we kept provisions for universalization of elementary education, that that in every elementary school there should be a school, what do you call that, school management committee, or like school managing committee. It was earlier told as school managing committee, right? SMC. Today it is called as school management committee for elementary education, and for secondary school, for secondary education we have SMDC, school development and management committee. Now, what is the composition of this committee? If you try to understand, most of the members are from the community members, besides teachers as ex officio members of that committee, school managing committee. Prior to this act, Right to Education Act 2009, we had school managing committee, but after Right to Education Act 2009, we have school management committee. Bit brought, I mean, little change has been brought there, but today we have school management committee for elementary education. For secondary education, we have school management and development committee, and the composition of that committee and the the nature of taking decision and executing this decision or the plan is mostly taken care of by the community members, right? And that and their participation in that sense is visible and also found to be very productive in materializing the ultimate aims, in materializing the ultimate agenda of school, ultimate agenda of the social organization, that is school, right? So that is um, what the subject matter of this unit 11, community participation in education. So today the community members are authorized to look into the affairs of all affairs of the school, what they are doing, what they are not able to do, what are the requirements, what extent that the community can or the government can uh, help, in what ways government can help. So everything is taken care of, can be taken care of by the community members by virtue of this act, that is Right to Education Act 2009. Prior to that also it was there, but it has become more productive, more meaningful, more visible after this commencement of this Act 2000 or effect of this Act 2009, a Right to Education Act, and your Rashtriya Madhyamik Shiksha Abhiyan 2011. There also we have a kind of act, it not by the constitution but the act, that is a kind of statutory decision by the government of India, right? So everywhere their presence is felt, and their presence is found to be essential input in the what in the functioning of the school, right? So precisely this is what on that is social context, that this is what precisely we can tell the social context of school, social context of school. What are the subject matters we have covered, like in the name of like social context of school, how it is how school is a social organization. It's not that it is an organization which is created by someone else, or like is something it's created by alien, but only by our members of our society. So that is handiwork of society, and that is why that is a social organization by its composition and by the nature of functioning, and the very nature of functioning and the very nature of power or relation there in school gives an impression or creates an impression that is a that it has social context only, it has social purpose only, right? It fulfills the social purpose, and that is what the social context of school. School is cannot be diverse from the social purpose, social wishes, social agenda. So that is one of the social context of school. Then beyond that, like other social context, if you talk about like in terms of that the acts it's carry for it engage with, primarily those are social in nature. Like when you talk about social production, or cultural production or their reproduction, those are all social in nature. Now, if you talk about like the other things like the responsibilities we are giving, or the inputs we are giving in the name of teachers, they are the agents. They are the agents of society. They are the agents of society, and and the agenda is very clear. The like objectives are very clear, defined, well defined. What they are supposed to do or what they are doing are well defined. So again, that is also the social context. Teachers' input and the functioning of teachers is in congruence with the agenda of society. So teacher is simply an agent there. It works as an agent. Teacher works just like an agent there. So again, that is so addition of teacher within the societies. Again, that is a very clear agent. I mean, social context of education. Then the other things associated with the teachers, like the principles that teacher is supposed to uh, obey, is supposed to comply with, the ethics the teacher is supposed to comply with or obey, are again are determined, are decided by society, decided by we, decided by us, right? So again, that is not in isolation with society. Again, that is a social context of teacher, social context of education. Then like for, I mean, ensuring everything's there happen in complying to the wish, in complying with the agenda of society. Ultimately, the members of society are directly or indirectly, actively or dormantly or passively, they are engaged. Their presence is felt. Is felt. So what is happening is there, that is in confidence of the community members only, community only. It's not all the times in the confidence of teacher. It might be happening in majority of cases, but ideally that has to happen in the confidence of the community. We cannot even we cannot dare to blame like anything, any like mishappening, uh, uh, any mishap happened there in school, or any unexpected situation is created, untoward situation is created there. We cannot altogether blame to teacher or like the internal members, because their community members is also actively or is supposed to be supposed to be supposed to be with the each and every act of the individual teacher, each and every act and course of action of the school. So every like affair is possible or should be uh, should be should be done or should be given shape in the confidence of this community member presence there. So in that sense, uh, like school has school is a school is holistically, if you see, that is a social context only. School is a social context only, nothing else. Okay, from your side, I expect some like inputs. You are also inputs like teachers. I expect some like questions, some reaction on this subject matter. Yes, if you can add. Am I audible to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Gitanjali. Or else we'll stop today's uh, like today's program. If you have any questions in your mind, if you have any kind of feeling, kind of uh, or observation, you can share with us. Madhava, yes.
So, if you are asking about observation about these things, I would say, sir, there is actually some kind of different picture in real place. We do not see the participation of community there. So community is, separately working with something, and school is totally separated from the community. This is the real picture. But now we have things like community participation, parent-teacher association, school management committee, all these things. But in real, even from my experience, I'm saying, if we need some kind of signature from the parents or from others, they are not coming to school. We are running behind them. We are going to their home. So we need this, do this. So that is why we do
Right.
not have a meeting even, sir.
Hmm.
So that is the real picture. But here in theory, we read the things.
That is actually unfortunate, Madhav. That is unfortunate. That should not happen. That should not happen. And we are claiming that our education system is gradually becoming more matured. Our practices, our education system is the system of society, the organization of society, social organization of the society, that is school, is found to be day by day more matured. But in reality, what Madhava is speaking is actually the society is abandoning, society is neglecting. It's not, and that should not happen. That is very unfortunate. We think of that we should be there, but in the next moment, we are not there. We are simply abdicating our responsibility, isn't it? So that should not happen. But okay, ideally it should be there. Yes, anything you'd like to add? Thank you, Madhava. It's good that you have started feeling, or you have started uh, like developing insight of the ground reality and the kind of challenges we have in near future, right? Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sir, another experience
Yes.
I just want to share. Now admission is going on in the schools. So we are receiving admission from our students. And the one who are coming from elementary schools especially, they don't know how to write their own name. So I'm
Oh, sorry,
really
Madhava.
surprised to know that they do not know their names.
Sorry, Madhava.
Sir, am I audible?
I cannot properly hear you. Can you repeat, Madhava, again?
Sir,
Yes, now you are audible.
sir, am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Yes, sir. Sir, now admission process is going on. And as it is a completely purely high school, my school is a high school. So students from elementary schools are shifted from elementary school to our schools. So before few days, I was there in admission duty, and one of the student was there, and he was unable to write his name.
Okay.
And his mother said, ସେ ଗୋଟେ ଗଧ, ସେ କିଛି ଜାଣୁନି ଆଉ କଣ ପଢିବ, ଏମିତି kind of demotivation was there. So ମୁଁ ତାଙ୍କୁ ପଚାରିଲି ଯେ ମ୍ୟାଡମ ଆପଣ କେବେ ସ୍କୁଲ କୁ ଯାଇକି ପଚାରିଛନ୍ତି ଯେ ପିଲା କେମିତି ପଢୁଛି, କଣ
Right.
ତାକୁ ଦରକାର ହଉଛି, ବା ଆପଣଙ୍କର କିଛି ଆପଣଙ୍କ ତରଫରୁ ଯାଇଛନ୍ତି କେବେ ସ୍କୁଲକୁ? ସେ କହିଲେ ନାଇଁ ସ୍କୁଲରେ ଡକା ହୁଏ, ମିଟିଂ ଫିଟିଂ ହୁଏ, କିନ୍ତୁ ମୁଁ ଯାଇନି କେବେ। ମୁଁ କହିଲି ଏଇଠି ହଉଛି ମ୍ୟାଡାମ କଣ ଆପଣଙ୍କର ଭୁଲ। ଯଦି ଆପଣ କେବେ ଯାଇକି ଟିଚରଙ୍କୁ ପଚାରିଥାନ୍ତି ଯେ ମୋ ପିଲାର ପାଠ ପଢୁନି, ଆପଣ କାହିଁକି ତାକୁ ଧ୍ୟାନ ଦଉନାହାନ୍ତି, ବା ଆମ ପିଲାର ଆବଶ୍ୟକତା କଣ, ପିଲାର ଭଲ ମନ୍ଦ କଣ, ସ୍କୁଲର ଅସୁବିଧା ସୁବିଧା କଣ, ଯଦି ଆପଣ ନିଜେ ତାହେଲେ ଭଲରେ ପାଠ ପଢିପାରିବେ। ଆଉ ଏମିତି ନୁହଁ କି ଯେ ସରକାର ଖାଲି ଆମକୁ ସ୍କୁଲ ନା ଗୁଡାଏ ଟିଚର ଦେଇଦେବା ଆଉ ପାଠ ପଢିକି ଘରକୁ ପଳେଇ ଆସିବେ, ପଣ୍ଡିତ ହେଇଯିବେ। ତ ଏଠି ପ୍ୟାରେଣ୍ଟ ମାନଙ୍କର ବା କମ୍ୟୁନିଟିର ଗୋଟେ ରେସ୍ପନ୍ସିବିଲିଟି ଲାଇକ ନହେଲେ ସେମାନେ ଗୋଟେ ସାଇଡରେ ସ୍କୁଲ ରହିଯାଉଛି, କମ୍ୟୁନିଟି ପୁରା ସାଇଡ ହେଇଯାଉଛି। କମ୍ୟୁନିଟି କହୁଛି ସାର୍, ଯଦି ଆମେ ଶୁଣିବା, ଯଦି କମ୍ୟୁନିଟି କଣ ପାଇଁ ଆସୁନି ବୋଲି ଗୋଟେ ଯଦି ଆନାଲାଇଜ କରିବା, ତାହେଲେ ରେଜଲ୍ଟ ଆମକୁ ଏଇଆ ମିଳୁଛି ଯେ ସ୍ପେଶାଲି ଇଣ୍ଡିଆନ କମ୍ୟୁନିଟି ଯୋଉଗୁଡାକ ମାନେ ଆମର ରୁରାଲ କମ୍ୟୁନିଟି ଯୋଉଗୁଡାକ, ସେମାନେ ଡିପେଣ୍ଡ କରନ୍ତି ଡେଲି ଲେବରିଂ ଉପରେ, ଖାସ କରି ଏଗ୍ରିକଲଚର ହଉ ବା ଡେଲି ଲେବରିଂ ୱାର୍କ ଉପରେ ସେମାନେ ଡିପେଣ୍ଡ କରନ୍ତି। ତ ସେମାନେ କହନ୍ତି ମୁଁ କାମକୁ ଗଲେ 2 ପଇସା ଆଣିବି ନା ପିଲାର ସ୍କୁଲକୁ ଯାଇକି 2 ଦିନ ସମୟ ନଷ୍ଟ କରିବି। ତ ତାଙ୍କର ଗୋଟେ ଏଇଭଳିଆ ଇଏ। ଆଉ ଯଦି ଯଦି ଏଇଭଳିଆ ରିକ୍ୱାରମେଣ୍ଟ ହଉ ତ ଆଜି ଯାଇଛୁ ଠିକ ଅଛି, ଯଦି ଏମିତି ବାଧ୍ୟ କରୁଛନ୍ତି ତ କାଲିକି ଯାଆନା। ସାର୍ ଏଇଭଳିଆ ବି ରିଆଲିଟି ଦେଖିବାକୁ ମିଳୁଛି, ଯୋଉଟା କି ଟୋଟାଲି ଡିସଆପଏଣ୍ଟିଂ। ତ ସାର୍ ଯଦି ସାଇମଲଟେନିୟସଲି ଆମର ଇକୋନୋମିକାଲ ଡେଭଲପମେଣ୍ଟ ହେଇପାରନ୍ତା ସୋସାଇଟିର, ତାପରେ ଯାଇକି ତା ଉପରେ ଠିଆ ହେଇକି ଆମର ଏଜୁକେଶନାଲ ଡେଭଲପମେଣ୍ଟଟା ବେଟର ହେଇପାରନ୍ତା। ଯେହେତୁ ଆମେ ସୋସିଓ ଇକୋନୋମିକାଲି ଆମ ଇଣ୍ଡିଆନ ସୋସାଇଟି ଖାସ କରି ଟିକେ ୱିକ୍, ସେଥିପାଇଁ ଆମ ଏଜୁକେଶନଟା ଯେତେଟା କହିବେ ଆମେ ତାକୁ ଷ୍ଟ୍ରଙ୍ଗ କରିପାରୁନେ। ସାର୍ ମୋର ଓପିନିଅନ, ମୋର ଅବଜରଭେସନ ହଉଛି ଏଇଆ।
I do agree absolutely with you, Madhav. Human always, that is by birth, by nature, looks for livelihood, looks for survival, right? That is the primary requirement, primary need, and then secondary need like education comes into play its role. So you're right that if when we create a condition, create circumstances, thereby earning livelihood for people become easier, or become like bit be consistent, and right, and then that this kind of secondary need like education will become more meaningful, become more like interesting value in one's own life. Otherwise, as you rightly pointed out, that you're rightly pointing out that it doesn't bother people, it doesn't like attract people, that yes, I should think about education, I should think about like the societal affairs or the national politics, national affairs. So I don't mind if I cannot like serve my belly. I have to look for that first. I have to survive. Right? So you're right that we should create like a kind of reliable, consistent livelihood supporting circumstances. Then this thing will be like relatively this problem would be addressed to a great extent. I believe you are right. Yes. Yes, anyone, only Madhava is, and sometimes Gitanjali, sometimes Somya Kani. Who else? Bablu, are you there? And Saroj is remaining silent, I can see. And also Durga Singh Das, Mamata Das. Okay, then we will be meeting tomorrow, same time. Same time. And tomorrow we have, we'll be dealing with another, what do you call that? block 4, that is knowledge and education. Again, an interesting subject matter, knowledge and education. Kindly go through your text you have with you. We'll be again meeting in the same time. All right. So I would like to thank all of you for being with me in this odd time in humid condition. So thank you very much. We'll be meeting once again tomorrow. I'm closing this program for the day. All right.
All right, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Sir.